Skaters, scooters, BMXers, everyone, welcome back to the Skateboarding Iceberg Part 2. There's a lot to cover in this video. It gets much more darker, it gets more interesting. You know, if you guys like these videos, please give us a like and a subscribe because it really helps the channel grow. Anyways, let's get into it. Roller trucks. Roller trucks, or Z roller trucks, were an unusual skateboard truck design created by the company Z Products during the late 1980s and early 1990s, a time when skateboard companies were experimenting heavily with new technology. Unlike traditional skateboard trucks that use a metal axle for grinding, Z roller trucks featured a cylindrical roller built into the truck design. This roller was intended to make grinds smoother and faster by allowing the truck to roll along ledges and rails instead of scraping directly on metal. The idea was part of a wave of innovation and experimental gear. Some riders appreciated the creativity and smoother grinding feel, while others found the trucks strange or impractical compared to standard designs. Although Z roller trucks never became the industry standard, they remain a memorial piece of skateboarding history and often collected today as an vintage gear from an era when skateboard companies were constantly pushing radical new ideas in equipment design. Curb worship. Curb worship in skateboarding refers to a style and mindset where skaters focus on skating curbs, especially practicing grinds and slappy tricks on them. Curbs are one of the most accessible obstacles in street skating, found in almost every city. And they became a core part of skate culture because of their simplicity and endless possibilities. Skaters often wax curbs to make them smoother and easier to grind, turning ordinary street spots into perfect practice terrains. Slappy grinds are a major part of curb worship. Instead of ollieing onto the curb, the skater rides directly into it at an angle and lets the trucks slap onto the edge, locking into tricks like 50-50s, 5-0s, or crooks. These styles emphasizes flow, creativity, repetition, allowing skaters to experiment with lines and combinations. Curb worship has become especially popular in modern skateboarding as many skaters celebrate the raw DIY spirit of street skating by transforming simple curbs into legendary spots through grinding, wax, and dedication. 1999 Fury lineup. In 1999, Fury referred to Fury Truck Company, a short-lived but talked about skateboard truck brand that launched that year with major pro skaters' involvement. It started when Tony Hawk left his long-term truck sponsor Tracker to help establish Fury, which aimed to bring fresh innovation and attention to skateboard trucks. Parts that many skaters felt were overlooked compared to decks or shoes. Fury trucks featured unique engineering ideas like a ball pivot design and were promoted by a small all-star team of elite pros, including Tony Hawk, Rune Glifberg, Chad Muska, Jeff Rowley, and Mike Vallely, with Lance Mountain managing the roster to focus on credibility rather than size. This lineup wasn't huge, but it combined some of the era's most influential skaters under a new hardware brand in a period when skate gear companies were pushing both sport and culture forward. Pablo Freemasonry. I honestly had a hard time finding this one because there are so many people called Pablo, even in skateboarding, but it all directed me to Brazil, which was still difficult to navigate through. However, there is no connection I found between a skater called Pablo and Freemasonry connection, so this is probably false. Indie Trucks Austrian Painter connection. Independent Trucks Company is one of the most respected and long-standing brands in skateboarding. Founded in 1978 and known for producing durable, high-performance skateboard trucks used by street, park, and transition skaters around the world. The company quickly became famous for its strong trucks an icon independent cross logo, a bold red cross symbol that has appeared on countless boards, stickers, and skate parks for decades. While the design features a cross shape, it has no connection to Austrian painter imagery or ideology. The symbol was created simply as a striking graphic logo to represent strength and independence in skateboarding culture. In fact, the logo predates many modern misunderstandings and has always been associated with skateboarding itself, not politics. Over time, the independent cross has become one of the most recognizable symbols in skate culture, representing durability, authenticity, and the brand's long history supporting professional skateboarders and global skateboarding community around the world. Coffin grinds. Just look at this video. DVS money laundering. DVS Shoes is a skateboarding footwear brand founded in 1995 by Tim Gavin during the rapid growth of skate culture in the 1990s. The company quickly gained popularity by sponsoring influential skateboarders and producing durable, technical skate shoes that matched the style of the era. Through the late 1990s and early 2000s, DVS became widely recognized in skate videos, magazines, and competitions, helping define the look of skate shoes during that time. However, like many skate brands affected by market changes and competition, the company eventually faced financial difficulties and its parent company filed for bankruptcy, which is a legal process used when a business cannot repay its debts. There has never been evidence that DVS was involved in money laundering. Money laundering is the illegal process of taking money earned from criminal activities, such as fraud, drug trafficking, or other crimes, disguising it so it appears to come from a legitimate business operation. In the case of DVS, their financial struggles were related to business challenges within the skate industry, rather than any criminal financial activity. Benihana. The Benihana is a classic old-school skateboarding aerial trick that became popular in the late 1980s and early 1990s, especially in vert and transition skating. The trick is performed by launching into the air, usually off a ramp, a quarter pipe, or a bank, and grabbing the board with the backhand while the front foot comes off the board and extends downward in front of the skater. As the rider floats through the air, the board is held with one hand while the back leg stretches out, creating a dramatic and stylized pose before the skater places the foot back onto the board and lands. The Benihana became famous for its exaggerated look and is widely performed during the era of big ramp skating and skate videos. Although the trick became less common in modern technical street skating, it remains a recognized part of skateboarding history and is still appreciated for its unique style and throwback aesthetic. I myself try to integrate this trick into my skateboarding style. Freeboard trucks. Freeboard is a board sport company founded in the late 1990s with the goal of bringing the feeling of snowboarding to pavement. The company created a unique type of board called a freeboard, which looks similar to a longboard but uses a special 6-wheel truck system designed to simulate the sliding and curving of snowboarding. Unlike traditional skateboard trucks, freeboard trucks include 2 regular wheels on the outer edges and 2 additional center wheels that can rotate more freely. These center wheels allow the rider to break traction and slide sideways, mimicking the way a snowboard moves on the snow. This innovation design made it possible for riders to perform snowboarding-style turns, drifts, and edge transitions on asphalt. Over time, Freeboard developed a dedicated community of riders who enjoyed downhill carving and sliding in the way that felt closer to snowboarding than traditional skateboarding, making the company one of the most unique innovators in board sport equipment. Revive Skateboard's last core company. Revive Skateboards is a skateboard brand that grew alongside the rise of skateboarding on YouTube, helping bring skate culture to a new digital audience in the 2010s. The company was co-founded by professional skateboarder Andy Schrock, who became widely known for his entertaining and accessible skateboarding content online. Through his YouTube channel, Andy created videos that mixed skateboarding challenges, tutorials, and behind-the-scenes looks at the Revive team, making the brand closely connected to the platform. This approach helped introduce many younger viewers to skateboarding and showed a more fun and personal side of the skate world. Compared to traditional skate videos, Revive used YouTube not only to promote its decks, apparel, and products, but also to build a loyal community of fans who followed the team's progress, sessions, and collaborations with other skate creators. As a result, Revive Skateboards became one of the first skate brands to successfully grow through online content and social media than relying only on magazines and traditional skate media. Well, technically all skateboard companies are core companies, but I honestly think it's not the last core company because there are so many aspiring YouTube channels of skateboarding and outside of YouTube still on the rise, including my own channel, Skateboarding Geographic Show, where the channel not only delves into challenging series, but also into people's personal skateboarding experiences. The skate channel was never created for selfish purposes. In fact, it's built on brotherhood and to give back to skateboarding. I can only make this channel work if I get support from the skate community and outside of that, so if you guys subscribe, like, and share, it really helps the channel grow and perhaps help push into a revolutionary era of a modern golden age of skateboarding. Who knows, that could happen. El Toro Christ Air. El Toro refers to the massive 20-stair set at El Toro High School in Lake Forest, California. And for decades, it stood as one of the most feared and respected skate spots in the world. It first broke into the skate world when Heath Kirkchart frontside lip slid the rail in 1998 in the Birdhouse video, The End, putting El Toro on magazine covers and instantly making it a pilgrimage spot. In 2001, Don Nguyen was the first to ollie the 20 stairs cleanly, a milestone that cemented El Toro's place in skateboarding history. Over the years, a handful of elite skaters like Dave Pachinski with a kickflip. Fun fact, Dave was riding a 7.75 deck. Let that sink in. Ryan DiZenzo with a nollie, Aaron Joss Hamoki with melon grabs, and others added their own legendary moments at the set. The iconic rail was eventually removed, and later the whole spot was altered and made much harder and later closed off. However, even with its difficulty, recently Chris Joslin landed a historic 360 flip and was featured in November of 2025 on Thrasher magazine, breaking the internet. There was also no information connecting Christ Air or Hassoy to El Toro. This is false. Pro skaters not picked for talent. In skateboarding, being talented on the board alone doesn't guarantee that a skater will be picked by a company or recognized as talented. Sponsors and team managers often look at a mix of factors beyond pure trick ability, including how a skater presents themselves publicly and represents a brand, their attitude and personality, and how well they connect with the skate community and audience. Companies want riders who can build visibility, engage with fans through social media, and fit with the brand's image. So a skater who is technically great but doesn't engage with audiences, market themselves, or align with the brand's values may be passed over. Other systematic barriers also play a role. Financial constraints like travel costs for contests, lack of representation and support for marginalized groups, and under-visibility in media can make it harder for emerging skaters to get noticed and chosen for talent, even if you're highly skilled. However, I still feel you can get a sponsor or become pro if you have connections. I feel it's a lot about networking and knowing the right people in the industry. Desert Bowl. The Nude Bowl is a famous abandoned kidney-shaped in-ground swimming pool located outside Desert Hot Springs in the California desert. Named because the site was once part of a 1960s-70s nudist resort called Desert Gardens Ranch. Skateboarders first discovered and began riding the dry pool in the early 1980s, drawn by its perfect bowl shape and remote location that kept authorities away. It became a hub of epic skate sessions, camping, and generator-powered parties, attracting top skaters and crews from around the world. However, by the late 1990s, the wild parties and violence, including a notorious 1999 brawl with serious injuries, led someone, likely police or local residents, to fill the pool with dirt to shut it down. Skateboarders dug it out and restored it multiple times, but it was repeatedly buried again in the mid-2010s. The location was rediscovered once more, and it sits within the Sand to Snow National Monument boundary now. The Nude Bowl remains a pilgrimage spot for skaters who travel deep into the desert to skate the abandoned pool and honor its unique place in skateboarding culture. Tony Hawk's existential denial. Anthony Frank, or Tony Hawk, born May the 12th, 1968 in San Diego, California, is one of the most influential skateboarders in history and a pioneer of modern vertical skateboarding. He started riding at the age of 9 and by 14 had turned professional, quickly becoming a dominant force in competitions throughout the 1980s and 90s, winning dozens of titles and innovating new tricks. Hawk's career reached a deafening peak in 1999 when he became the first skateboarder ever to land a 900-degree aerial spin, a trick that had eluded him for years and that helped propel skateboarding into mainstream culture. He also co-founded Birdhouse, a major skateboard company, and partnered with Activision to launch the hugely successful Tony Hawk's Pro Skater video game franchise the same year, contributing massively to the sport's global popularity. After retiring from competition around 1999 to 2003, Hawk continued shaping skateboarding through businesses, ventures, exhibitions, and philanthropy. His Tony Hawk Foundation, now the Skate Park Project, funds skate parks in underserved communities, keeping the culture alive for future generations. As for his personal and interior life, on what he does or how he feels will never be known. There was also some information linked to him about a criminal list, but this was later debunked. Blind not related to vision. So in part 1 of the iceberg, I've already spoken about this topic, and if you guys haven't heard about it, go check it out now and come back to this video. Tensor plastic inserts worked. Again, in part 1 of the iceberg, I've already talked about Tensor trucks, but something I didn't mention in the trucks is that they had plastic inserts that actually did work. But later on, the company Tensor wanted to switch to lighter metals, which caused the plastic inserts to be discontinued. Argentine Mafia. There was nothing I found on Argentine Mafia connected to skateboarding. Toy machine shining. At first I thought there has to be some sort of symbol from Toy Machine in the movie The Shining, but I didn't find anything related to Toy Machine or The Shining. But maybe there is. I haven't seen the movie, so if you do find something from The Shining, let me know in the comments below. Maybe this is possible because look at Toy Story and Zero's skateboard skull logo. However, there is also something called Joy Machine Shining Press, a series of documenting Toy Machine's skateboarding brand history, so maybe that's it. Jay Adams murder case. Jay Adams was an American skateboarder best known as one of the original members of Zephyr skate team Z-Boys, who helped revolutionize modern skateboarding with raw, surf-inspired style in the 1970s. However, his life off the board was marked by serious legal trouble in 1982 He was involved in a fight in Hollywood that resulted in a death of a man named Dan Bradbury. Adams later said he had instigated the altercation with a couple outside a nightclub, and although he claimed he left before the victim was beaten by others, he was charged with murder but ultimately convicted of a felony assault and served 6 months in prison in connection with the incident. Over the following decades, he struggled with drug addiction and additional convictions for drug-related offenses, spending years in and out of jail. Though he remained an influential figure in skate culture, Adams died of a heart attack in 2014 at the age of 53 while on a surfing trip in Mexico. Weddle grabs. A weddle grab, historically called the mute grab, is an aerial skateboard trick where the skateboarder grabs the toe side edge of the board with their front hand between their feet while in air. It's one of the most classic grabs used in vert, bowl, and aerial skating. The trick was first performed by deaf skateboarder Chris Weddle around 1981, and for decades it was widely known as the mute grab, a name that came from other skaters' depiction of him at the time. In 2020, legendary skateboarder Tony Hawk announced that the grab should be called Weddle grab to properly credit its creator, since Weddle is deaf but not mute, and that name is now being adopted in skateboarding and related board sports. Fausto Pill. Fausto Vitello, born August 7, 1946, in Buenos Aires, Argentina, was an Argentine-American businessman, magazine publisher, a key figure in skateboarding culture who played a major role in shaping the industry in the late 20th century. After moving with his family to San Francisco, California as a child, Vitello co-founded the independent truck company in 1978, producing high-performance skateboard trucks that helped fuel skateboarding's resurgence. In 1981, he launched Thrasher magazine, which became one of the most influential skate publications in the world by spotlighting street and underground skate culture. Beyond Thrasher, Vitello expanded his business empire through High-Speed Productions, the publisher of Slap and Juxtapose magazines, and Deluxe Distribution, which grew to distribute iconic skate brands like Spitfire, Thunder, Real, Antihero, and Crooked. His work helped establish skateboarding as a global subculture and industry. Vitello died in 2006 of a heart attack while cycling, leaving a lasting legacy in what skateboarding became today. Audio shoes orthopedic injury. Audio skate shoes were a notable brand of footwear in skateboarding, especially in the early 2000s, built with design features aimed at impact protection, foot comfort, and arch support for skaters. Many audio models incorporate cushioned insoles and padded collars to help absorb shock from hard landings, reducing stress on heels and joints compared to regular sneakers that don't support that well. Audio skate shoes often have contoured insoles with arch support that can help skaters who are on their feet a long time during sessions. The soles typically feature grippy tread patterns and cushioning systems that not only improve board control but also help with shock absorption during drops and tricks, which can be beneficial for reducing foot fatigue and discomfort. Audio also used reinforced construction and varied midsole technologies to balance a board feel with impact protection, making the shoes supportive for skateboarding's unique stresses. So for it to be causing injury, I don't think this is possible. All pros are Scientologists. Scientology is a belief system founded by L. Ron Hubbard in the early 1950s, centered on the idea that humans are spiritual beings, thetans who can improve themselves through a process called auditing and structured teachings. It is practiced through the Church of Scientology, which presents it as a religion focused on personal development and spiritual awareness, though it has also been widely debated and criticized publicly. Jason Lee, a former professional skateboarder, was associated with Scientology after joining in the 1990s, but later confirmed that he no longer practices it. Another known skateboarder connection is Aaron Cairo, who has publicly been featured in Scientology-related media and has spoken about applying its teachings in his life and skateboarding. Overall, Scientology has only a small and limited presence in skateboarding, and it is not a major or defining influence within the skate community. Tech decks older than skating. Tech decks are miniature skateboards designed for fingerboarding, a hobby that dates back to the 1970s when skateboarders made small boards to mimic tricks with their fingers. The modern tech deck brand was introduced in the late 1990s, around 1998-1999 by the Canadian company Spin Master, which helped popularize fingerboarding worldwide by mass-producing realistic boards with fundamental parts and authentic graphics from real skate brands. By the early 2000s, tech decks became widely popular in toy stores and skate culture, turning what was once a homemade novelty into a global trend and collectible hobby. However, homemade fingerboards date back to the late 1960s and 1970s, when skateboarders began creating DIY versions of skateboards to practice tricks with their fingers. Early designs were very simple and made from everyday materials like cardboard, wood, or even popsicle sticks, often using toy axles or wheels from items like Hot Wheels cars. Lance Mountain helped popularize this DIY culture in the 1980s by showcasing a homemade fingerboard in the skate video Future Primitive, where he rode it in the sink. These early homemade boards were not mass-produced and were built purely for fun and experimentation, but they laid the foundation for modern fingerboarding and later commercial brands. So in reality, I would say they're about the same age. Helium-filled boards. Element's helium skateboard technology was introduced in the mid-2000s as a way to make decks significantly lighter without sacrificing strength. Instead of actually filling the board with helium gas, the name refers to a special internal construction that uses air-filled chambers inside the deck. These boards featured 5 airframe chambers built into the wood layers, reducing weight while maintaining stiffness and durability. This design made the boards feel more responsive and easier to pop for tricks. Element skateboards later combined this helium construction with materials like carbon fiber in their Push series, further improving strength to weight ratio and creating some of the lightest and most advanced decks of their time. Grosso murder. Jeff Grosso was a highly influential professional skateboarder from California. He rose to fame in the 1980s during the height of vert skating. Born in 1968, he became one of the most recognizable figures of his era, known for his aggressive style and later preserving skate culture through his love letters to skateboarding series with fans. Throughout his life, Grosso openly spoke about his struggles with drug addiction, which affected his career in the 1990s. But he eventually got sober and became a respected voice and mentor in the skateboarding community. He passed away on March the 31st, 2020 at the age of 51 in Newport Beach, California. An official autopsy determined that his death was caused by an acute polydrug intoxication involving fentanyl and phenobarbital, and it was ruled as an accident, not a homicide or murder case. Hamboards. Hamboards is an American company known for creating large surf-style skateboards designed to replicate the feeling of surfing on land. The idea began as a family garage project in Huntington Beach, California, when founder Pete Hamboard built oversized boards so his sons could practice surfing when the ocean waves were unavailable. Over time, the boards evolved from simple homemade designs into a full business, officially forming as the company around 2012. and later gaining major exposure after appearing on the TV show Shark Tank. Hamboards are distinct for being much longer and wider than traditional skateboards, and they use a specialized truck system that allowed deep carving turns similar to real surfing. Today, the brand is recognized worldwide for helping bridge skateboarding and surf culture by offering a unique land surfing experience. 3-flip. Look, I think we've all come to a conclusion on what 3-flip means. At this point, here's a picture of a kitten. Gou Miyagi. Gou Miyagi is a highly influential Japanese skateboarder from Okinawa. Known for his unique and artistic approach to street skating, he gained international recognition through his 2008 video part in Overground Broadcasting by the Far East Skate Network. He helped redefine Japanese skateboarding with its unconventional style and creative use of urban environments. Rather than focusing on traditional tricks or competition skating, Miyagi treats skateboarding as a form of artistic expression, often incorporating fluid movements, unusual obstacles, and even movements off the board into his lines. His videos, some of which have reached over 1 million views online, brought global attention to his style and influenced a generation of skaters to think more creatively about what skateboarding can be. Over the years, he has worked with brands like Heroin Skateboards and continued to release impactful video parts, solidifying his place as one of the most original and innovative figures in modern skateboarding. I actually checked out his video from Thrasher and I actually thought it was pretty entertaining. You should go check it out. Tony Hawk's timeline gaps. I thought this was pretty interesting. There's a lot of timelines in the Tony Hawk's universe, connecting Hawk's universe and with the Skate series. Even Need for Speed, but it doesn't stop there. It gets even more bizarre when you start digging deeper. Shrek and Twisted Metal appear. You should go check it out. Floridian Vert Scandal Blender 1987. Neil Blender is a highly influential figure in skateboarding, known not just for his writing but for shaping the culture itself. Born in 1963, he turned pro around 1981 and quickly stood up for his creative, almost anti-competitive style during a time when skateboarding was becoming more structured. He is credited with inventing or helping develop numerous tricks such as the woolly mammoth, gay twist, and the method grab. And he also helped popularize the name tricks like no comply. Beyond skating, Blender was one of the first skaters to design his own board graphics, blending art with skateboarding and helping shift it toward a more expressive artistic subculture. He later co-founded Alien Workshop in 1990, a brand that became iconic for its unique aesthetic and underground identity. His influence was so significant that he was inducted into the Skateboarding Hall of Fame in 2015 and has been ranked among the most influential skaters of all time. As for scandals, there is no widely documented major controversies or criminal scandals associated with Neil Blender in reliable sources. What stands out instead is his unconventional personality. He was known for being quirky, humorous, and sometimes rebellious in a creative way, like mixing art, graffiti, and skating during contests. But this was seen as part of his artistic identity rather than a negative scandal. Overall, his legacy is viewed positively, centered on creativity, originality, and cultural impact rather than controversy. Sub 20mm wheels. As for skateboarding wheels, they come in ranges of different sizes, shapes, ranging from 50mm to 54mm in standard practices of the industry. As for 20mm, they do not exist. Even dating back to classic skateboarding, the smallest was 44mm to 50mm. However, if you continue to skateboard with your old wheels, they can substantially get super thin, but this is not a good idea because if you hit a rock or a crack, you're gonna go flying. Pre-1998 Nike SB. Nike SB, the skateboarding division of Nike, officially launched in 2002, which means it did not exist during the 1990s skateboarding era. In the 1990s, skaters were not wearing Nike SB shoes. Instead, they often skated in older Nike basketball models like Dunk, simply because they were cheap and durable, commonly found in discount stores. During the same period, Nike attempted to enter skateboarding with early skate-specific designs in the late 90s, but those efforts largely failed to gain acceptance within the core skate community. It wasn't until 2002 that Nike created Nike SB as a dedicated division, re-engineering the Dunk into the SB Dunk Low with skate-focused features like extra padding, improved cushioning, and input from professional skateboarders. The brand initially distributed these shoes through select skate shops and collaborated closely with skaters to build authenticity. This timeline is important because it shows that Nike SB is a post-90s development emerging only after skateboarding culture had already been established by independent brands, and later growing into a major force in both skateboarding and global sneaker culture. Carlsbad Gap Credit Card. The Carlsbad Gap is one of the most legendary skateboarding spots in history, located at Carlsbad High School in California. Originally just an 11 stair set built with the school in 1957, it became famous in the early 1990s when professional skaters began jumping the gap beside the stairs, turning it into a global icon through skate videos and magazines. The gap was especially difficult because of multiple hazards: cracks before and after the jump, a wall that visibly meets the skater mid-air, and the steep uphill landing that made rolling away extremely hard. Because of these features, it was known for being unforgiving. Many skaters took heavy slams, with reports of bruises, serious falls, and even broken bones when attempts went wrong. The spot remained a central proving ground for top skaters like Chris Markovich and Jeremy Ray, until it was demolished in 2012 during a school redevelopment, marking the end for an era. As for the incident at Carlsbad Gap, skater Joel Uzlak took one gnarly credit card in between the legs attempting to do an inward heel flip that went terribly wrong. You should go check it out, it's pretty painful stuff to watch. Bongo Supremacy. I've already spoken about this style of pushing and skateboarding in part 1 of the iceberg. However, here's a picture. Ishod real pronunciation. Ishod Wair is a professional skateboarder born on November 1st, 1991 in Bordentown, New Jersey, and is widely regarded as one of the most influential street skaters of his generation. He began skateboarding at the young age around 8 to 9 years old and quickly dedicated himself fully to it, even leaving other sports like basketball to focus on skating. His breakthrough came after competing in the events like Tampa Am in 2009, where he gained attention from sponsors by distributing his own skate videos. This led him joining Real Skateboards, which officially turned him professional in 2011. Wair's career rose rapidly, and in 2013 he was awarded Skater of the Year by Thrasher magazine, becoming the first African-American skater to win the honor after releasing multiple standout video parts. Known for his smooth style and ability to skate both street and transition terrain, he has also had success in competitions, including winning a gold medal at the X Games and competing in street league skateboarding events. Beyond competitions, Ishod Wair has had major influence on skate culture through his style and collaborations. He has long been associated with Nike SB, releasing signature shoes such as the Nike SB Dunk Low Pro Ishod Wair in 2016 and later his own pro model shoe in 2022. His impact goes beyond skating into fashion and creativity, helping bridge skateboarding with streetwear and broader culture. Overall, his legacy is built on technical skill, originality, and a unique, effortless style that has inspired a new generation of skaters. 14.666 Wheelbase. 14.666, or commonly referred to as popsicle skateboard wheelbase, the distance between the inner truck mounting holes. is typically around 14.0 to 14.5 inches. Most standard street decks sitting very close to 14.25 inches. This size became common because its balance, control, and stability. Shorter wheelbases around 13-14 inches make the board more responsive for flip tricks, while longer ones closer to 14.5 to 15 inches provide more stability at speed. Across the industry, popsicle decks developed in the 1990s as a standard symmetrical shape generally falls into the broader wheelbase range of about 13.5 to 15 inches for street skating. Even though individual brands may vary slightly, many commonly sold decks, for example 8.0, 8.5 inches wide and about 31 to 32 inches long, consistently use wheelbases between 14 and 14.5 inches, reinforcing as the standard feel most skaters are used to today. Downhill jam, do not research. Yeah guys, this one is one I couldn't show because of its disturbing nature, but seriously, if I were you, I wouldn't search this up. Nyjah Huston body replacement. Nyjah Huston, born November 30th, 1994 in California, is one of the most successful and influential street skateboarders in history. He began skating at a very young age and quickly gained attention for his technical skill and consistency. Huston turned professional in his teens and has since dominated competitions like SLS and the X Games, winning multiple Super Crown and X Games gold medals. He also represented the United States in the Tokyo 2020 and Paris 2024 Olympics, earning the bronze medal in the latter. Beyond competitions, Huston is known for his video parts, high-level street skating, and collaborations with major brands like Nike SB, making him one of the highest paid and most widely recognized skateboarders in the world. In early 2026, Nyjah Huston suffered a very serious skateboarding accident that was widely reported in major outlets. While skating in Tempe, Arizona, Huston fractured his skull and eye socket after a heavy fall attempting a trick on a large rail, and he shared photos of himself in the hospital bed and wheelchair showing the severity of the impact. The Olympic bronze medalist described the incident on social media as a harsh reminder of how death-defying skating massive rails can be, and confirmed he was taking it one day at a time in recovery. Coverage noted that the injury occurred at the start of 2026. That support poured in from the other skateboarding figures, and that there is currently no set timeline for his return to competitions as he continues to recuperate from the fractured skull and eye socket. Now, I could see how he might have a body replacement. He should be dead, which makes you wonder, does he have a double? I mean, this conspiracy is not too far away from Hollywood or in today's age of a lot of things being exposed. Makes you wonder. Locking spots. Locking spots refers to skateboarders finally completing a stunt at a location and claiming their spot, officially naming it and putting it in skateboarding history where other skateboarders could try out their location. Pierre Andre child trafficking. Pierre Andre is a French skateboarder and influential entrepreneur who played a major role in shaping modern skateboarding culture. After moving to California in the mid-1980s, he shifted focus on competing to designing skate shoes. Frustrated with how quickly regular sneakers wore out from skating, in 1989 he introduced Etnies to the US market and eventually acquired full rights to the brand, later forming Soul Technology, which also oversees S and America, helping these brands reach a global skateboarding audience. Beyond business, Andre influenced skate culture through design innovations and projects like Pass House and skate-friendly architectural concept. Today, he is celebrated not only for his competitive achievements, but also for his lasting impact on footwear and skateboarding worldwide. As for criminal or any allegations against him, this is simply false. Big Mongo. Again. Skateboard industry single company. So this actually translates to a last core company, which I already spoke about this in tier 5. So if you guys haven't seen it, go to this time stamped on the screen. Carlsbad Gap transfer. Carlsbad Gap was actually not transferred but officially demolished on February the 23rd, 2012, as part of a major reconstruction project for the school, marking the end of an era for skateboarding history. But who knows? Maybe they did transfer it, they just didn't tell anyone. Pro skater CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. CTE is a serious and progressive brain disease caused by repeated blows to the head, including concussions and even smaller impacts that don't always show immediate symptoms. Over time, these repeated hits damage the brain cells and lead to the buildup of abnormal proteins, which cause parts of the brain to deteriorate and lose function. CTE is most commonly found in athletes involved in high impact or contact sports, but it can affect anyone with repeated head trauma. For pro skaters, the risk comes from frequent slams, falls, and head hits, especially when skating big gaps, rails, or vert, where even non-concussion impacts can accumulate over years. The condition doesn't usually show up right away. Symptoms often appear years later and can include memory loss, poor concentration, depression, aggression, impulsive behavior, and even early dementia. Because skateboarding involves constant risk-taking and repeated impacts, long-term skaters may be vulnerable if they experience multiple head injuries, making protective gear and recovery time extremely important for reducing the chances of developing CTE. But let's be honest, you're not gonna wear a helmet. Bowl trolls exist. Yes, it looks like they do exist. A LibTech bowl deck, such as the Bowl series, is a type of skateboard deck specially designed for transition skating like pools, vert ramps, and skate park bowls. These decks are typically wider and shaped differently than standard street decks, giving skaters more stability and control when carving, hitting coping, and landing airs. What makes a LibTech unique is its advanced construction, often called cockroach construction, which uses a mix of wood, fiberglass, and composite materials to create a board that is stronger, longer lasting, and more responsive than traditional 7-ply maple decks. For example, models like the Bowl Troll 8.8 deck features technologies such as an exoskeleton outer layer for durability, carbon and fiberglass reinforcement for added pop, and reinforced tips to prevent razor tail wear. This combination results in a deck that can handle the heavy impact and repeated stress of bowl skating, allowing skaters to maintain speed, flow, and control while riding transitions. Overall, the LibTech bowl decks are built for aggressive, high-impact skating and are known for their durability and performance in demanding terrain. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater mocap. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was one of the first skateboarding games to attempt realistic movement by involving real skaters in its development, including Tony Hawk himself. During production in 1999, Hawk took part in a motion capture session where he performed real skateboard tricks while wearing a specialized suit covered in tracking markers, allowing developers to record his movement digitally. However, despite successfully capturing this data, the motion capture animations were never actually used in the final version of the game due to time constraints and technical limitations during development. Instead, the developers at Neversoft relied more on hand-animated movements inspired by real skating footage and Hawk's input to recreate tricks and style. Even though the motion capture didn't make it into the original game, it still showed an early effort to bring authenticity to skateboarding games and laid the groundwork for more advanced motion capture techniques used in later titles in the series. Pre-50s skating. Skateboarding has a rich history that stretches back to the late 1940s and early 1950s, when surfers in California wanted a way to surf on land when the waves were flat. The first skateboards were essentially wooden boxes or boards with roller skate wheels attached, often homemade, and were called sidewalk surfboards. By the 1960s, commercial companies like Makaha and Hobie began producing more standardized boards with clay or metal wheels, sparking the first wave of skateboarding popularity, though it was still mostly a niche sport. The 1970s saw a major boom with the advent of polyurethane wheels and the invention of modern skateboard shapes. Allowing for better grip and trick potential, skaters like the Z-Boys of Venice popularized pool skating, turning skateboarding into an expressive, rebellious culture. The 1980s brought the rise of street skating and professional competitions, while the 1990s saw skateboarding explode into mainstream culture with the launch of the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater video games and X Games, giving skaters worldwide exposure and inspiring new generations. In 2000, skateboarding continued to evolve technically and stylistically, with a focus on street skating and global competitions and innovations in board design and video production, solidifying skateboarding as both a sport and a lifestyle culture. Thrasher is a satanic worshipping company. I wasn't gonna show this, but look at all these companies. What do they all have in common? Isn't it a little too excessive to the point that it's unnecessary? I'm not religious or anything, but it's almost like too obvious. And with all the things that are coming out in today's age, I wouldn't be surprised if this was the truth. However, Thrasher magazine was founded in 1981 in San Francisco by skateboarding enthusiasts Eric Swanson and Fausto Vitello as a way to cover skateboarding culture, competitions, and lifestyle. Originally focused on the hardcore skate scene, it quickly became the voice of skateboarding, featuring photos, interviews, and articles that capture the rebellious and creative spirit of the sport. Over the years, Thrasher expanded beyond print, influencing skate fashion, music, and videos, and became famous for its Skater of the Year award, which celebrates influential skaters each year. Its raw, authentic approach helped shape skateboarding culture worldwide and cemented its status as an iconic publication in the sport. Most skaters will never be pro. Becoming a professional skateboarder is extremely rare, and statistics show that the vast majority of skaters never reach that level. According to the industry sources, only a tiny fraction, estimated at less than 1%, of skateboarders actually earn a living through sponsorships, competitions, or video parts. Most skaters remain amateurs who skate for fun, exercise, or local recognition, as professional status requires not only exceptional skill but also consistent exposure, markability, and often the backing of major brands. Even highly talented skaters may struggle to get noticed without connections, video coverage, or social media presence. This makes the professional skateboarding world extremely competitive, with many skilled riders dedicating years to perfecting tricks and travel for contests, yet never achieving a paid pro career. Consequently, the professional skateboarding path is both a narrow and demanding, highlighting how passion and persistence are often more common motivators than financial reward. However, like I've said before, I think it's all about connections and who you know in the industry. Skate parks kill skateboarding culture. Skate parks provide a safe and controlled environment for skating. Some critics argue that they can unintentionally kill certain aspects of skateboarding culture by limiting creativity and risk-taking. Traditional street skateboarding emerged from repurposing urban architecture, rails, stairs, ledges, and plazas, which fostered innovation and DIY attitude that became essential to skate culture. Critics claim that skate parks with their uniform bowls, ramps, and rails create a predictable skating experience that prioritizes safety over experimentation, reducing the sense of adventure and rebellion that defined early skateboarding. Furthermore, heavily regarded parks with rules against certain tricks, curfews, or style of skating can stifle individuality and discourage skaters from pushing boundaries. While skate parks have made the sport more accessible to beginners, some veterans feel that over-reliance on them risks diluting the raw creative and counterculture essence that gave skateboarding its original identity.
And finally, the last one.
Extinction of skateboarding. Skateboarding remains popular worldwide. Some analytics and historians have speculated about a potential extinction of the traditional skateboarding due to the commercialization urban regulation, and changing youth culture. Cities increasingly restrict street skating through fines, anti-skateboarding architecture, and surveillance, which limits access to public spaces that historically fueled skate culture. Additionally, the rise of digital entertainment, social media, and esports competes for youth's attention, reducing the number of youth who take up skateboarding seriously. Some veteran skaters argue that the emphasis on safety indoor skate parks and competition-focused skateboarding could dilute the rebellious creative spirit that originally defined the sport, threatening its identity as more than just a hobby or a trend. While skateboarding is unlikely to disappear completely, these cultural and structural shifts suggest that its underground countercultural roots may continue to erode, leaving a more sanitized and regulated version of the sport. Wow, that was a lot of information. This was like a 1 hour long video and half of the iceberg. This was a really long and stressful journey to create this iceberg, but I want to thank every single person, including you, for clicking the video, watching it until the end, or even just a little bit. That really helps me out. Some of you actually don't know, but this is actually not my department of videos. However, if you guys want me to do more videos like this, let me know in the comments, and subscribe, like, and share with your homies, everyone across the skate community, and I'll do more videos like this. But what I actually do for this channel are series about challenges, skater interviews, skateboarder stories, and things that really bring the skate community together. That's what the channel really is about. If you guys don't know me, my name is Costa, aka Ronald VS. I'm a skateboarder from the greater Toronto area. This is Skateboarding Geographic Show, Season 2, Rip the Limits.
So, what's your signature trick?
I was a kick turn.
You want to try it?
Sure.
Alright, let's do it. Yeah. This video's gonna be long. Alright, you got 3 tries.
Alright, parking it as hard as I can, and at the same time sliding your foot, you know. That pop took me so long. I remember
That was sick. That was awesome.
so many nights.
That was sick.
Days I was
Props.
I'm never
Awesome.
gonna get this trick in. Like, I'm never gonna
Yo, bro, you got a signature
get
trick?
this landed. I'm never gonna get it.
What do you want me to do?
Anything that you're good at, like